Welcome to our listeners. This is the EAC More to Do podcast, hosted by Vertigo Media, and our EAC board member, Lisa Mirabile. Lisa, thank you for hosting us.
Oh, of course, Bob. You know, this is one of my most favorite things that I do. Working with EAC is such a great organization, and to be able to put on the podcast with you, I learned so much each time we do this. It's been a while.
It has. We're all busy,
Yes.
and EAC, unfortunately, and I say this all the time, the need is growing every single day.
That's right.
Just last week, we were at this Children's Advocacy Center, the CAC, with Suffolk County Executive Ed Romaine, and we said, "We're sorry that you're here." And he sort of looked at us. I'm like, "We're sorry that we have to have a child advocacy center." And our CAC protects kids from physical and sexual abuse. But it's one of 114 programs that is very important to Suffolk, Nassau, and New York City. And we have to have it. And it's unfortunately a growing need. But the More to Do podcast is helpful to spread the word and spread the awareness on the impact that we have on the lives of people in Suffolk, Nassau, and New York City. So thank you for hosting us.
Today on the EAC podcast, we have a great guest with us. We have Paul O'Brien, who's coming to us from Burner Prudenti Law Firm. This is a very important guest to us. Why, Robert? Why don't you tell us what's going on?
We welcome Paul O'Brien as the 2024 Golf for Good honoree. We're so proud to have not only his support, but the support of his law firm. We're so thankful for you and the law firm being our honoree. What can you tell us a little bit about the firm, a little bit about yourself? But first, when we talk about Golf for Good, what comes to mind for you?
Bob, thank you. Lisa, really excited to be here today, and I'm quite honored to be the honoree for the EAC Network Golf for Good outing for 2024. When I think of the outing itself, you kind of can think of some of the values EAC instills. It's community, gathering, togetherness, and all for a great cause to support all of EAC's wonderful programs. You mentioned before there's 114 of them.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty easy for everyone who comes out and supports EAC and supports the event to find something that's near and dear for them that they can feel good about and appreciate participating in.
Yeah.
I don't know if you realize, but the Golf for Good over the last 2 years, we've grown so much. So to have you at this year as our honoree is tremendous for us.
Yeah.
I think we're expecting, at least 100 people this year?
Yeah, no, we'll have over 130 golfers. We'll probably have
130
another 100 dinner participants. And then we have a bunch of opportunities for people to support EAC. And I'll tell you a quick story. So
Sure.
I'm at EAC for 3 years, and I invite Paul to the Golf for Good 2022, right? You played in my foursome.
I believe that's the first year I was there.
Yeah. And I thought, I'm bringing this guy, Paul O'Brien, to EAC. I'm introducing EAC to this big, gigantic, partner in this firm. And he goes, "Bob, I know all about EAC. I'm already involved in the guardianship program and in the senior guardianship program. So can you tell us a little bit how you got involved with EAC? I thought I was the big shot in bringing you on board, but tell everyone how you got involved with EAC.
So absolutely. As an attorney in private practice, EAC has a presence in the court system, both on the civil and criminal sides. All of the work I do is civil in nature, but there's the Cohalan cares, there's the centers at the courthouses for individuals who need to attend court and need childcare, else they wouldn't be able to make it. So we're kind of aware through that process, and also the involvement with seniors, with guardianship. Obviously, we know the great work that EAC does in the guardianship arena, really for people who would have no other option, the most at-risk people, the most at-risk, a lot of times seniors who don't have family local, don't have people to provide for them.
Right.
It's such a vulnerable community, our seniors here on Long Island. We had the mass exodus through COVID where a lot of our young left because now they're hybrid and they can go anywhere, and it leaves, sort of our seniors here alone. So the work that we do, we talk all the time about the Meals on Wheels project that we have, but we do way more than that when it comes to seniors, and I don't think that people are familiar with our other programs when it comes to them. So Paul, tell us a little bit about where you fit in right now with
Absolutely.
the EAC.
So currently I am the legal liaison, legal advisor for the EMDT committee. It is an interdisciplinary team in Suffolk County that has participants from a variety of government agencies and several EAC employees who, take these cases on with at-risk seniors oftentimes they're reported, whether it's, through the police channels or through APS, or someone, going into a hospital and they require care and there's no next of kin or, someone to that effect to contact. And it is, they're some of the most challenging cases to triage because, there's a number of hurdles in, getting all of these different agencies to work together in getting, the right care plan in place, things of that nature.
Absolutely.
Lisa, we talk about all the time that the not-for-profit world and social service world is full of acronyms and full of abbreviations. You mentioned 3 or 4 already in that case. What is APS? What is EMDT? Can you tell the listeners a little specifically about what those issues are and what seniors are facing in Long Island right now?
Absolutely. So the EMDT, that's the EAC Network team, is it stands for Elder Abuse Enhanced Multidisciplinary Team. When I mentioned APS, that's Adult Protective Services, and we work together with Adult Protective Services, caseworkers from different hospitals and nursing organizations. We have a neurologist on the team who specializes in addressing these issues that seniors face when it comes to things like dementia and a lot of what cognitive issues that come on later in life. And putting that group of professionals together, it really helps to attack these problems that seniors are facing from all angles, because they are, seniors are, as our population ages, exposed to issues such as, financial scams. They're,
running rampant.
Exactly.
Running rampant.
We all know that, mental health awareness is, much more prevalent than it was in the past. And ensuring people have, the types of treatment and community resources that are necessary to keeping our aging population vibrant and involved in our society. Because I don't know about everyone else. I grew up in a household where my grandparents lived with me. I was lucky enough to have a large family, a lot of people close by to assist my grandparents as they aged and things of that nature. And not everyone has that luxury. So this is another opportunity, another avenue to kind of give back to those who don't have a big net of support.
Yeah, that's so true. So many don't have that support system around them, like you were lucky enough to grow up with, and it really is a problem, because what I had read was that most of the abuse, now when talking about abuse, most of the abuse that these seniors go through are happening from people that are very well known to them, that they feel they've trusted and feel comfortable with. So they've let down their guard, and they're not really paying attention as much as maybe they should. But why don't you're the expert? Why don't you tell us a little bit about
it's a
what you've
combination
seen?
of things. Yeah, it's obviously there are the kind of what you think of as the typical financial scam, right? That someone receives a phone call and they ask for your computer information or banking information or whatever it is, and they trick you into being able to access your financial accounts or to send money off to some cause that isn't a real charitable effort or something to that effect. But it is it is something that we see that oftentimes it could be a friend, a family member, things of that nature, where someone falls on hard times or what have you, and the aging population's ripe for financial exploitation.
Yes.
One of the other things we see that is quite common, and it's unfortunate. It's one of the most difficult to deal with. Is that we see caretaker fatigue become difficult. When a son, daughter, niece, nephew, whoever it is taking care of an aging relative, it can be a challenging thing to do, especially when someone's dealing with maybe some type of undiagnosed cognitive condition, or even if they have a diagnosed or recognizable condition, but it's difficult to say, okay, you need to be on these medications, or you need to observe these limitations. I mean, we all know the kind of the story, right? It's hard to take grandma's car keys away, type of thing.
Sure.
And, so we see that caretaker fatigue set in as well, and that's kind of this other situation where there's either neglect, and it's not even intended neglect.
It's not malice, right?
Exactly.
Right.
It's people who want to do good. It's just that they need more support than just one person can provide.
Yeah, it can be a lot. Now I can speak that I have two 80-something-year-old parents
Sure.
that are so stubborn, will not leave their home, doesn't want to live with anyone,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're here on Long Island. So, you know, a lot does fall on me and my sister, right? And I can understand that. You can become very fatigued between running to doctor's appointments, making sure they're taking their medicine, they're eating. You know, even is the garbage taken out, you know, like silly things like that. But it
Yeah.
does wear on a person. So I understand that must be a very difficult situation.
And Paul, are you appointed as a guardian to seniors, and you're sort of taking care of their financial, emotional?
I am.
What's
So-
your role? Tell us about that.
So in the EMDT, my role is to work with these other professionals and try to find solutions for
Right.
a number of these cases, which at times is challenging just from the logistical standpoint of having all of these different agencies work together, because each of them have their own specialization and subset of services that they could provide. But sometimes it's, you need to marry a few different pieces to,
Yep.
to find the solution that's best for someone. One of the other things I do is I am appointed on what's called the Part 36 list in New York State. It's a list of qualified individuals. You don't need to be an attorney to get on that list. As
Sure.
an attorney, it's one way on, but that's not the only way on. And you can serve as guardian for individuals who don't have a friend or family member willing to act in that capacity.
That's wonderful.
It's a court-appointed position, and it runs the gamut of people who, really have, nothing and no avenue for, assistance in making medical decisions and making financial decisions and, ensuring that, prescriptions are filled or that they have transportation to doctor's appointments, up to, people who, have great amounts of resources, but just, no one to help guide them as to how to implement them to, maintain their
Yeah.
quality of life
Yeah.
and
Can
things
I
of that
ask
nature.
you, what made you get involved in this type of work?
So
Yeah.
it's interesting that I kind of, initially fell into it, so to speak, that when I went to law school, I really thought, what am I interested in? I'm interested in music, sports, all the typical things we all
Right.
enjoy. And I really wanted to become, kind of a copyright and entertainment type lawyer. And at the firm I started out with, it was a wonderful place to learn how to practice law. I had incredible colleagues. We did a fair bit of that work, but also learned rather quickly that starving artists are not the best at paying legal bills. And I came onto one case that involved some intellectual property that was held in an estate. And from there I kind of got a little bit into the estate work and said, this is an interesting place to practice. It's an interesting arena, and that led me into some of the guardianship work and
Yeah.
related cases like that. So it's it wasn't what I set out to do, but I'm very happy that I wound up doing it.
You're listening to the EAC More to Do podcast, hosted by Vertigo Media. So thank you again for hosting us. And you can find this podcast anywhere where you search for your normal podcast listening. So that's the More to Do podcast with the EAC Network. And for more information on EAC, go to eac-network.org. Again, our guest is Paul O'Brien of counsel at Burner Prudenti Law Firm. We want to ask you about, Lisa mentioned about how you got into this, but tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what your history is, and how you got to sort of where you are today. A little
Sure.
bit about Paul O'Brien.
Absolutely. So I grew up on Long Island. Went to undergrad at Delaware.
The
Congrats.
Blue Hens.
Fighting Blue
Go
Hens.
Blue. Oh, Fighting Blue
Fighting
Hens.
Blue Hens.
There you go.
And then came back, almost home to law school in Brooklyn. Brooklyn Law School. That's where I met my wife. Had a wonderful experience there.
Wonderful.
And shortly
That's
after
where
we
my
did-
fiance went to law school. Very good. There you go.
See, and that's the other thing. So we
Forget it.
moved back to Long Island because both our families from here. And one of the things I like about living on Long Island is what you just said. To your point, the connections are endless. We
Absolutely.
just had a conversation before. We went on air, and in 5 minutes of speaking to someone, you can find 10 different people that you all know
Sure.
together. So
That's right.
Sure.
both our families are here. We moved back. We live in West Islip. We have 2 wonderful young children, and it's.
And is your wife practicing now, or
So
she's
she
doing the
has-
most important job?
She
I can
has
imagine.
the harder job of the 2 of us, which is being home with the 2 young children.
Absolutely.
But they're almost fully school age, so I think she's going to get back into it a little bit.
And what's her field of practice? What does she want to do?
She was in matrimonial
Gotcha.
before she, took a leave to be with the children, and I think she does not want to get back into that. So,
Metro, yeah.
yeah, I think
It's
that-
challenging. I think it's mentally
that
challenging.
can wear on you.
Wear on
Yeah.
you for sure. I mean, it's constant argument, I think. You
Yeah,
kind of live
yeah.
in
She
that
came
kind
home
of
with the
chaos.
best war stories of, what the clients are arguing over and, what they'd rather pay attorneys hundreds of dollars an hour to do and fight over as opposed to just trying to find some, middle ground. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. And Paul, why don't you tell us about your law firm?
Absolutely. So, Burner Prudenti Law, the name is somewhat new, but the firm has been around for quite some time. Gotcha. Nancy Burner and now her daughter, Britt Burner, are just, mainstays in the elder law community. They are, some of the best practitioners in estate planning and elder law. And then last year, the Honorable Gail Prudenti, who was the Chief Administrative Judge of New York State.
Yep.
And also at Hofstra,
and
right?
then the Dean of Hofstra Law School.
Amazing.
She came back to private practice and linked up with
Wonderful.
Nancy. And, last fall I left my firm, something I never really saw myself doing, but, it was time. And I thought I was going to go out on my own and start my own practice. And the stars aligned very shortly thereafter that. I ran into Matt Kiernan, who used to be the public administrator and had now taken a position at Burner Prudenti. And he said, hey, Paul, why don't you come have a conversation with us? And, the ball kind of started rolling from there, and I'm very lucky to have landed where I have.
That's a great firm. That is a great firm.
Yeah.
You're in a good place.
Yeah.
They
exciting.
do such great work. Yeah.
So Burner Prudenti, all the founding members, women?
That's correct. Yeah. So it is, women-owned business. Nancy's had her own practice, in Suffolk County for a number of years. Britt has kind of spearheaded taking on the city, and then Judge Prudenti joining last year. So it is, it is a women-owned law firm, which you don't see too many of them out there. So
Gotcha.
it's a very, it's unique and it's a great experience.
So how do we connect, or how do our listeners connect to the law firm?
So it is burnerlaw.com, BURNER law.com, and I think we're on all the socials and things like that as well. So, you can come check us out.
And what do you guys specialize in?
So it is a boutique elder law, trusts and estates, estate litigation, guardianship law firm. So, Nancy has historically with her practice, really had a great estate planning, elder law, before elder law became kind of, one of the more prominent fields of law.
Gotcha.
She's had a lot of experience in that area, been practicing in that area for a long time. And, with the judge coming aboard and, the rest of us kind of pitching in, we're really expanding the trust and estates, probate administration, guardianship, that side of the practice.
And tell us the website again.
It is burnerlaw.com, BURNER law.com.
Great.
So this is the More to Do podcast by EAC. EAC-network.org is where you could find out more about our 114 programs that we do. But today we're talking about Golf for Good.
We are.
So Golf for Good is coming up. Are you guys in a foursome?
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah, it's May 20th, the Golf for Good at North Hills Country Club. Again, Paul O'Brien is our honoree, so we're very happy to have him. And you talk about golf, and you talk about Matt Kiernan, who's also at Burner Prudenti, who's also a friend of mine through golf. And so I remember when he joined Burner Prudenti, I got a text from Matt. And he's like, "Your boy joined my firm." And I'm like, "What boy?" Because I have a lot of men, a lot of guys. He goes, "No, Paul O'Brien." I said, "Listen, he's a great guy, great lawyer, lawyer." And I was so proud that you joined this firm. And I know, obviously, everyone knows Judge Prudenti.
Amazing.
Amazing, right? I mean, she was the top chief administrative judge. And that's sort of redundant, right? She was a chief administrative judge for New York State.
Correct.
What does that mean?
So she was basically, she administered the entire court system, all the court employees, all the judicial employees, both judges and non-judges. And I mean, she really rose up the ranks as, not only a female attorney when, it wasn't as, prominent as it is today, but she was the first, woman surrogate judge in Suffolk County. She was, I think, one of the first women judges appointed to the Appellate Division 2nd Department. So just trailblazer.
Right,
Absolutely.
right. And of course, her values and her mission align with what we're doing here at the EAC Network. She's a Suffolk County resident.
Absolutely, yes.
Right? So we're so proud to have the law firm as part of the EAC family. So thank you for doing that.
We're really excited to be here. Happy to support Golf for Good and support all of EAC's initiatives year round.
Yeah.
Are there still spaces open for Golf for Good? Can you still register and play?
You can. So Golf for Good is May 20th at North Hills Country Club. It's a wonderful place. Paul and I got a chance to play there. Very hilly, very tough, and very challenging.
Lives up to his name.
With that, lives up to his name. But we are going to have fun. We are going to have a very fun event. If you want to be competitive, you can. If you don't want to be competitive, you can certainly have fun at the day of. It's May 20th, Golf for Good. Go to EAC-network.org. There are still a few spots left. There are sponsorships available, large sponsorships all the way down to your T-flag, which is a good way to advertise your business. But we should talk a little bit about Golf for Good. I know you've gone out there, you've beat the bushes, you've talked to all your friends. What do you say to your friends when they say, "Hey, what is EAC? Why am I doing this? And why are you doing this, by the way?"
Exactly. So, I can tell everyone, look, it's infectious. You can find someone or, something at EAC that you can, align yourself with. You can find an initiative that is close to you and you want to support. And, when you speak to the people that work at EAC, whether it's, Haley and Tanisha at the EMDT, whether it's you, whether it's Chris, whether it's Neela, everyone is so passionate about what they're doing there.
Yeah.
It is present all throughout Nassau, Suffolk County, the city. The judicial buildings, I see the presence all the time.
Yep.
So, I think it's pretty, to me at least, it is a pretty easy cause to get behind.
Yeah, it really is an easy cause to get behind. What do we say all the time, Bob? So it's about community.
Yep.
Right? It's about putting people back to work.
Yep.
It's about keeping our seniors, our children, our people here on Long Island safe.
Yep.
And it's about feeding our elderly.
Sure.
And taking care of our elderly.
Yeah.
More than just feeding them, as I'm learning today. Because even I am on the board how many years now? 2, I think.
A little over 2.
A little over 2 years. And I didn't even know that we had this in place for our seniors, that we had guardianship for them, that there was even an adult abuse unit that went out and helped through our court system. I'm learning so much every time we do this.
Yeah, it's sad to think, right, that you need adult protective services.
Right.
Paul mentioned APS, right? That you need that here in Long Island. That you need to protect seniors from scams, whether it's from a stranger or from someone that they know. I think it's sad that you got to protect seniors from themselves, almost, right? You talked a little bit about that. Because if you don't have a family, that's capable, or you don't have a family that's around here on Long Island, it's very difficult to take care of your parents, your grandparents, or whatever the case may be. And Lisa, you talked about this earlier. We have a growing senior population, and I can only imagine that this problem is getting worse. And we need strong advocates like Paul O'Brien to address those concerns.
Exactly. It's a problem that's not going away, to put it lightly. And I think there are, a number of ways we can try to head it off. It's, one is by educating people, educating the community. And 2 is by everyone trying to take an active role. I think everyone, may know someone on their block that is, of advanced age and, they don't seem like they have a lot of family around. Keep an eye out for that person because, those are the people that are at risk. And, the people that are juggling, taking care of, a parent, an aunt and uncle who's aging, whatever it is, and also watching out for their own family, ask them whether you can lend a hand because, those are the people who are becoming, fatigued with that balancing act, and, it becomes quite difficult to, carry that on for years and years as,
Absolutely.
as it goes.
Yeah. We're here at the EAC More to Do podcast. We're here with Paul O'Brien, our special guest, talking about senior care and guardianship. Lisa Mirabile is a board member at EAC, and Vertigo Media is our host. What do we do? I'm a regular Joe citizen in Suffolk County. What are the signs that we need to look for? How can we help? Tell us a little bit about the work, but how can we help? What are the things that we need to be doing to be taking care of our seniors in Suffolk County?
So when it comes to seniors, when it comes to the aging community, one of the things I think that, we can benefit most from is, everyone just taking an active role the best you can. And it doesn't even really require changing up your day-to-day that much, right? If you know someone on your block who's of, advanced age, maybe keep an eye out for that person. Everyone has their routines, and I think, whether someone, leaves the house at a certain time every day, you see their car pass by, things like that, keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for the people who do have a support system in place, but maybe somebody who is juggling getting the kids to practice in school and also taking care of their mother, father, aunt, uncle, whoever it is. Keep an eye out for those people because those are I'd say the unfortunate stories we hear where someone left mom or dad at home for just a little bit to go run errands or do whatever they need to do, and of course that person gets up and tries to do something on their own, and they suffer a fall.
So, Paul, how does someone in the community actually look out for one of their elders, maybe that live on their block, or what do we do if we see something? What are some of those signs that we might see?
Sure. So, what I think everyone could do is take an active role, and it doesn't require changing up your day to day in some significant fashion, right? It's keeping an eye out for aging people in your community who might be facing some difficulties, whether you notice that it's physical or cognitive or what have you. Keep an eye out for those people. There are resources there. You can call the EAC EMDT. Actually has a phone number. It's 631-439-0480. That's 631-439-0480. It's extension 313, and that will get you to the EMDT team. Most likely you'll get Haley Gordon, who is wonderful.
That's great.
And, she will get the right people on the case, whatever government agency it might be, or, at least be able to provide some, advice or guidance over the phone as to how you can take a more active role. And,
Sure.
For friends, family members, your parents or grandparents, sometimes it's a difficult conversation to have, but, I would say make sure that the support system for those people is in place before it's too late. And what I mean by that is, have people do a healthcare proxy, do a power of attorney. Sometimes it even it's just a conversation. Okay, mom, dad, where are you banking? Where are you, doing financial transactions? What are your regular payees, to avoid those types of scams? So then, everyone sees the red flag go up before it's too late.
Yes. Now,
Yeah.
there's so many scams, and technology has gotten so good. And when someone doesn't have the support, I think they diminish their cognitive thinking.
Yeah.
Diminishes a lot faster. I'm sorry, it was a mouthful. I was trying to get that out. But when someone doesn't have that support system, I think their cognitive thinking reduces at a lot faster rate. So I think even just having conversations and staying involved, you brought that up. Look out for your neighbors. I think that's a really good one that nearly everyone can try and do.
We all think it too, right? You think you keep your mind active and engaged, and you stay in contact with the people around you. You don't age the same as if you're kind of shut in from society or shut out from society.
Yeah.
So keeping in touch with those people, it's it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, yeah. Our president and CEO, Neela Mukherjee-Lakhal, says this all the time, that the people who work for EAC, not only people that work for EAC, but the volunteers and the board members, like Lisa, are angels walking amongst us. And I know Haley is one of those angels. So let's give her phone number out again one more time for anyone that's listening.
Sure. Haley Gordon at the EMDT Center is 631-439-0480, extension 313.
I will tell you that I have called EAC many times, and they always answer their phone. So don't think that anything is, you're too late or too early in the morning.
Yeah.
I would say go ahead and give a call, and if they by chance do not answer their phone, they return the calls immediately.
Sure.
They are great.
Yeah. This is the EAC More to Do podcast. And although our mission is complex, our goals are very clear, right? We want to help people when they need it most. And I was looking at your website, and one thing that sort of jumped out at the Burner Prudenti Law Firm website, we meet your family's unique needs when it matters most. We have a tagline at EAC. One of our board members said it at a board meeting, and it was a throwaway line: helping people when they need it most. It sounds sort of familiar to me, right? And I know there's a shared values, a shared mission.
Yeah.
Paul, can you tell us a little bit about the law firm, the values there, their mission statement, and your own personal values, and how they match with EAC's, and what that synergy is like to you as an individual attorney?
Sure. So when I say we're a boutique law firm, to me, that's not a size thing. That's a feel thing. When a client comes into the firm, and in a lot of instances, they're dealing with a difficult situation, whether it's contemplating guardianship over a loved one who no longer has capacity, and someone's going to need to step in and be a decision maker for that person, or whether it's dealing with issues of probate or estate administration. Someone just lost a loved one, and they're trying to put the pieces back together. And my thing always with those people is, look, if we can help handle, the logistics, the business side of things, the dealing with, setting up the guardianship and getting someone appointed who's able to make decisions timely and keep someone safe, maybe comfortable aging at home, something like that, or in a matter of probate or estate administration, dealing with getting things in place so that, you often see, maybe someone loses a loved one and they were helping support people financially, and you need to, get an estate account open, get things lined up so that everyone can still make ends meet their obligations, pay their bills.
Sure.
I think being able to lift those types of burdens, especially when it comes to probate estate administration, then people can focus on grieving and what they need to do as a family, and, we can take care of the business side of things.
It's a difficult situation sometimes, and you have a lot of difficult conversations, and that must be challenging in and of itself. Does it wear on you?
Not particularly, or at least it hasn't yet, luckily. I'd like to think we're doing something to help people in these difficult times, and a lot of our clients are incredibly appreciative, and that is a testament to the great attorneys we have, the support staff we have, who are working endlessly to make things move at the speed they need to move at. And I think the other big thing is, even though these are some difficult conversations at times, they're important conversations, and if you leave these issues unaddressed, it oftentimes turns into a much bigger problem down the road. So happy to help people address things even in those difficult circumstances, because in the long run, hopefully their families, everyone benefits.
Well, that seems to align with the EAC completely, I have to say.
Yeah, 100%. You're listening to the More to Do podcast hosted by Vertigo Media. We're here with Paul O'Brien, our special guest, our honoree for Golf for Good 2024, to be held on May 20th at North Hills Country Club. For more information, to sign up for the golf event, go to eac-network.org. I don't want to keep you here all day long, but we definitely have to talk about Golf for Good. What does that mean, right? We talked about a lot of heavy topics, a lot of tough topics and items to talk about in your work and the work at Burner Prudenti. Some people are like, well, now you're talking about golf. How does golf relate to taking care of seniors? So I ask you that question. How does going to the EAC golf outing relate to taking care of seniors in your work?
Well, obviously, one of the big things the golf outing does is it raises money for all of EAC's great programs, those that touch on seniors, those that touch on, our youth, those that touch on people with mental health issues. And, without the support of all the great sponsors for the golf outing, people coming out to have a day of, enjoyment, community, some fun on the golf course, a great reception. That is, I think, part of what keeps, the lights on, so to speak. And, Bob, I think when we first spoke about EAC, one of the things you said, which resonates with me, is that, you always said that kind of EAC's greatest strength is its greatest weakness. That, there's 114 programs, so there's no elevator pitch, so to speak, for EAC. But, where you said it, where you put it together like that, I like to look at it as, it's really just a strength. That, there are all these different areas that EAC touches. There are all these different programs, and whether it's seniors, youth, people being reacclimated into society after being in the criminal justice system, things of that nature. There's endless opportunities to help. Yeah, no,
I appreciate that. At the EAC Network, we have 5 pillars of service: children and youth, vocational, behavioral health and criminal justice, family and communities, senior and nutrition. Those 5 pillars of service are covered in Suffolk, Nassau, and New York City. Paul, Lisa talked about it, protecting children, protecting seniors, feeding seniors, mental health and substance abuse in Nassau County. And in New York City, our biggest bucket of work is really through the behavioral health and criminal justice system. ATI, Alternatives to Incarceration, offender reentry. We are trying to make sure that people are safe, that they're dealing with the problems that they face on a day-to-day basis, whether it's mental health or substance abuse. And our partners in New York City are the New York City Police Department, are the district attorney's offices, because they know ATI work is not about helping Bob Strickoff through a tough time. It's about helping Bob Strickoff, my family, my community, and helping keeping our community safe. Offender reentry is the same thing in New York City, and we do offender reentry in Nassau, New York, and in Suffolk County too. So there's so much more to do. There's a lot of awareness that we need to raise on Long Island, and that's one of the reasons that you're here. So thank you for being part of that awareness.
Thank you again for having me. I'm happy to be here. This is really great day talking about a great cause.
Great.
I did just want to bring up one thing.
Yeah.
You do not have to golf in order to go to the Golf for Good. I will be joining you this year. I have to say, it's so much fun to take those lessons right before we go into our reception. Those lessons on the tee, which is just so much fun. I don't even know if I have the terminology right, but you sit on the green and you learn so much, and it's always fun just to get out and, like you said, share with the community, understand what moves you, what are some of the passions of the people around you, and how are they staying involved, and what more we can do in order to keep this momentum going. So it's such a great day.
I think we expanded the offerings for the non-golfers this year, those maybe not regular golfers.
There'll be fun events for non-golfers. I think we're going to have a DJ spinning some records during the day. We might even have a live podcast on, so we're not really sure. The one thing I will ask Lisa she's obviously a very active and engaged board member, keep Neela, our president and CEO. Last year, I think she drove a cart on a tee box.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. And so that's not allowed.
Not allowed. Okay. I'll make sure. Neela has a lot of energy.
I'll make sure Neela has a driver.
Neela has a lot of energy. I don't know if I could have the power to stop her from doing what she sets her mind to doing, because she definitely is a woman on a mission. Yeah. And I think it's to get out there and to just touch everyone and to let them know how appreciative she is for everyone to come to the golf outing and all of the support that they give us. Yeah. And, it doesn't go unrecognized, and we couldn't continue doing the great work that we do at EAC without great people like you. So thank you so much, Paul, and thank you so much, Robert, for always coming to Vertigo and doing your More to Do podcast right here.
Thank you to Vertigo Media for our More to Do podcast. You can find the podcast wherever you search for your podcast.
Wherever you listen to your podcast, you could find the EAC More to Do podcast, whether it's on Spotify, Apple, or Google. EAC More to Do podcast will be listed. So please follow, like, share, and make sure that we keep the Long Island community growing and engaged and really active in all this great work that EAC does.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I want to say thank you to you, Bob, Lisa, Vertigo Media, and EAC for having me today.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for this final push before the golf outing. So for those who are listening and still want to sign up, there's a couple foursomes, there's a couple spots left. So get in quick, and we look forward to seeing everybody next month.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.